welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for joining me this evening. I'm really excited to see what the runes have to say for this week ahead. But before we get into it, first I want to say thank you guys for being present with me and patient with the rune videos, because over the holidays I had gotten sick with the flu and it was pretty rough for me. So I ended up taking the rest of the month off to recover, to get myself together, and to plan some cool readings for you guys. So now, the astrological weather ahead. So this week we'll be seeing the full moon in Leo, which is going to activate the axis of divine masculinity, or as I like to say, of divine electricity in the fixed modality. So that is how we take action, how we show up in the world, how we show up not only for ourselves, but for our communities. So we're going to be seeing a theme over the weekend, because the full moon happens on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. We'll be seeing energy that surrounds our sense of self, who we are, not only to those around us, but who we are to ourselves, which I think is going to be very beautiful. So a great opportunity for reflection there. Now, we also had an interesting transit that just recently happened, and that was Venus moving into Pisces. So we will be seeing a lot of energy around nostalgia, creativity, tapping more deeply into our emotions, feeling more inclined towards compassion, understanding, and also feeling a little bit more sensitive. So I wouldn't be surprised if you may get frustrated at things that normally wouldn't frustrate you, or we may feel as if certain circumstances within our interpersonal relationships are done personally. For example, how we would say in English, like, to take something personally, right? To take something to heart. So we might do that more often with things that normally wouldn't affect us that way. So be on the lookout for that, and allow yourself some time and space to reflect on why it's causing you some trouble, why it's causing some friction in your emotional life, and giving yourself space and time to recognize that it's not always personal, and that this is just the energy that we're moving through at this time, right? We're also going to be seeing heightened intuition, especially around partnerships, connections, and whether those are romantic or business related. So that being said, we will get to the runes. Okay. This is going to be a whirlwind of a week. It feels like there is certain elements that will be outside of our control this upcoming week ahead. And what I mean by that is, while I was casting and tapping into the energies, one of the runes that I saw before I cast was Haglas, and Haglas is the rune of hail. It's also the rune of the storm. So it's energies surrounding us, or circumstances that are outside of our control, that we have to be, how do I say this? It will drive us towards our inner life. It'll help us to reflect on aspects of our own inner life and how we connect to others. So, starting in the center and radiating outwards, we have Othala to begin the reading. And Othala is a really beautiful rune, because I haven't seen it in a while, actually. Othala is the rune of spiritual inheritance. So this week, it feels that the center of this week, or the theme of this week, is to remember who you are, is to recognize and to take stock of how far you've come, the journey that you've taken up until this point, and to be proud of yourself for having gone thus far, for having made it through the bramble and the bushes, for having pushed through very difficult and hard times. So you have inherited a spiritual power, a spiritual energy, a space and a feeling of security that it seems that you have to kind of ground yourself in. especially for this week, because we have a lot of interesting energies floating around. So, floating around the Othala, we have Algis in Merkstaff position. We also have Ansus that has fallen Merkstaff as well, alongside Thurisas that has kind of fell on its side. So, this is a very specific message for some people. So take what resonates, of course, and you could leave the rest. But Thurisas falling on its side usually represents a masculine energy in your life, and that could be whether it's a man or someone who identifies as a man or someone who identifies as a woman. Masculine energy is outside of the gender normative constructs that we have, right? That's why I tend to say electricity, right? An electric energy, right? The energy of action, of movement, of right? Like that feeling, right? So someone in your life who has that more electric energy in them, right? And it's saying that they might be trying to bear a message to you. It feels to me that this may be an ancestor. It may be someone who has passed away, perhaps a grandparent, a grandfather, or an uncle, or someone who you might have been close to that is trying to get a message across. Because what I'm seeing here, and again, this is a very specific message, so just take what resonates. But I'm seeing here with the Ansus and Algis in Merkstaff position, there's a message trying to come through from the higher realms, especially in regards to masculine energy. There's also this feeling around how the men in your life have been showing up, or the people who identify as men, how they've been showing up in your life at this time. So again, a very specific message, just keep that in mind. But otherwise, in a more general sense, right, when I see Algis and Ansus together, there's a message of intuitive downloads and energies that are trying to come through, but perhaps our ego is in the way. And when I say our ego, I don't mean this concept of the ego that's like, oh, the ego's bad, like we should never listen to it. No, I'm not talking about that. When I say that this message is trying to come through, or like these intuitive impulses are coming through and the ego's getting in the way, what I mean by that is we may have certain patterns or behaviors or psychological constructs within our own livelihoods that prevent us from seeing or receiving a message. So for example, it's kind of like, you're kind of getting this message of, I don't know if very brief example. Like, I don't know if I really want to go to this restaurant today. I'm not really feeling it. And you're getting that intuitive impulse, but then your ego's like, nah, but I really like I really like the food from there. I think we should go. Why not? It's good. Every time we go, you always get the same thing. It's always going to be great. So whatever context this may be, right? This could also be in reference to an ex that is reaching out, or a romantic partner from the past who's trying to reach out and say like, hey, what's up? How's everything? And your intuitive impulse is like, I don't really think we should keep chatting, or I'm not too sure if I resonate with this at this time. But the ego is saying like, oh, but that was fun. But that would be a good time. Let's just chat with this person anyway, right? So that's what it's giving. It's giving a very unique energy of a message trying to come through, and whatever part of ourselves that doesn't want to hear it is kind of winning out at this time. But again, there's this message of tapping into your true self, your intuitive potential, to understand your inheritance as a spiritual being. And when I say a spiritual being, I mean more so a living being, right? Someone who is alive, who is feeling, who is perceiving, right? Then we also have some interesting energies floating around towards the later on into the week. So again, this is the beginning of the week. So think Monday into Wednesday, and then going into Thursday and onward into the weekend, I'm seeing Manas that has fallen in Merkstaff position. We also have Ingwas. In Ingwas there is no Merkstaff. Ingwas is Ingwas. We have Perthro that has fallen upright. So again, the lot cup that's holding things. And then we also have Lagus, which has fallen upright, which I actually really like to see. So over the second half of the week into the weekend, we're going to be feeling more creative. We're going to be feeling more, perhaps more dreams. So if you are into taking dream journals or taking mugwort tea prior to going to bed, because I know mugwort tea has been used to enhance dreams, so that might be something for you guys. But it feels like there's going to be a lot of creativity, a lot of refilling of one's cup is what I'm hearing. So taking the time to refill, restore, and renew, because there is a necessity for grounding, especially when the full moon comes along on the weekend over Saturday and Sunday. There's going to be this energy of grounding into our sense of self, and also being aware of the people and the experiences that we may have. So I'm getting a very specific message as well. For example, if you're at work or you get a work email and there's a lot of what I'm hearing is unnecessary critique, right? Or like someone that's kind of like nagging you in that sense. It's this message that I'm feeling is be grounded in yourself, knowing your worth, knowing what you offer to your job, to your company, to wherever you work, and saying like, you know, I'm doing the best I can, and I can take this constructive criticism if it's constructive. But if it's not constructive criticism, I have to be aware of what advice I receive, because not all advice is meant to be helpful. Some advice is just people releasing frustrations or emotions in a context that they know how. So that's what I'm feeling for this very interesting energy for this week. So again, tapping into your spiritual potential, understanding who you are, grounding yourself in that energy for the first half of the week, kind of shaking off the desire to not listen to your intuition, because sometimes, you know, we like to doubt ourselves. It happens, it's a very human thing. So to me, it's feeling like the first half of the week, be aware of the things that you doubt about yourself, especially when it comes to your intuition. You can trust yourself a bit more, especially as we move into the later half of the week, which is focused on grounding, connecting to ourselves. Listening and hearing is going to be a big theme this week too. Whenever we listen, we are being vulnerable, right? And so we have to be conscientious of the things that we listen to, not only the music we listen to, but the people we listen to. So that's something to keep in mind for this week ahead. I hope that resonates with you guys. If you liked the video, of course, please like and subscribe below. I would like to hear how you guys have been doing, what you've been feeling, if you've been feeling drawn to resting more or recovering, and the ways in which you like to recover. I'd like to hear that below. Ambulance passing by, which I think is interesting, talking about recovery. But yeah, thanks for joining, and I will see you guys next week here on the channel. Bye everyone.